Well, Heidi ho there. Welcome to Unchained CEO. I am Caleb Jones. Today coming at you from London. Location independent income through a location independent business. Moving to a less bad country, or at least setting up an international backup plan and doing all those things for very little money. Today we're going to talk specifically about those of you in the corporate world, how to make the transition from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world, which is the transition I made myself. Billy will be joining us in about 30 minutes for that. Could those of you in Billy, I'm using one of my new remote wireless. Oh, you know what? Now, as I say that, hang on. Shit. Hang on a second. Got to make sure my internet connection is working here. Welcome to London. Hang on. How am I coming through? You guys let me know on the live chat. Let me know how I'm coming through with the video and the audio. I want to make some changes here. Internet access, Caleb's iPhone. Okay. All right. Yeah, let me know if the audio is good, the video is good. Could you let me know? That'd be helpful. Why did I just lose half of the people on the stream? Oh boy. I see one person saying it sounds fine. Yeah, let me know how both the audio is and the video, if I'm cutting out or... Okay, now it looks better. Now we're looking good. Okay, cool. You can see I have a very old school British background. You know, I'm living on a street where it's a very London street where all the buildings are that old style with all the molding, and they're only 4 stories high. So everything looks good. Great. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. One of you is saying, good seeing you in London. Dwayne, yes. We had a lot of fun on Saturday. And I talked about things Saturday with the guys that I have not talked about publicly, and I won't for a long time. So if you were on that, those of you who are, if you're listening to the podcast or, on the live or whatever, you're sworn to secrecy, at least until October. Cool. All right, great. A few words about London, the collapsing UK. So a few things. I'm trying to remember what I told the guys on Saturday and what I told you guys last week. So this might be some repeat, but I love coming to London. I would never live here. And my view of London is similar to my view of Los Angeles before Los Angeles collapsed. So maybe before 2000, I don't know, before 2017, 18, somewhere in there. I used to go to Los Angeles 7 times a year and love visiting Los Angeles. Love hanging out in Los Angeles. Just a great place to hang out. But I said, I love this place, but I could never live here. Fuck living here. No. But I love coming here and hanging out and then leaving. So that's how I feel about London. So when I come to London, I feel really good. David, you too. Let's see. Hang on. What are we doing here? A number of you guys were at the London thing. That's cool. So I also like the fact that the weather this summer, it's actually kind of cold. Last summer in London, it was like a heat wave. It's like 45 degrees Celsius, which is like over 100 degrees in the summer. And I was like, please don't have that when I come, because I'm always in warm weather. So I'm in Dubai most of the year, warm. I'm in Paraguay during the Paraguayan winter, which is the rest of the world's summer, which is still reasonably warm. When I go to the United States, at least lately, last year, a year or two, when I go to the US, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm about to go there in about 2 weeks. Really fucking warm. So it's nice to be here in London where the weather is cold. Today was about 56 degrees Fahrenheit, cloudy. And the first night I got here, I walked outside. I was just wearing a t-shirt and everyone's in their coats and stuff. I'm like, oh, this feels so nice. I remember this because I grew up in Portland, Oregon, which is the identical. I grew up in a region of the world, USA Pacific Northwest, that is the exact same climate as the British Isles. The exact same climate. It was cloudy and cold most of the year. So I got really sick of it really quick. But it's nice to experience this for a few days. I have a few outings. Next few days, we'll be traveling around the countryside. I'll be going up to Scotland on, let's see, Saturday. Be there for 4 days. Come back to London just for an evening, and then I fly off to the United States. One collapsing country to another. And I also talked about on Saturday, when I come to London, or most collapsing Western cities. Because I live in Dubai, we have no crime in Dubai. That's a literal statement. The crime rate's less than 1%. Virtually zero crime in Dubai. So when you live in Dubai, you get kind of complacent. You can just walk around Dubai, flashing your phone and, if you're a woman, having your handbag open and having cash in your hand and just be in your own world. You're totally safe. Can you do that in other cities in the Western world? No. So whenever I come to collapsing Western cities, London included, especially London, where crime rates are skyrocketing, I have to be a little more aware. So I put stuff in my front pockets, on my back pockets. I'm just a little more aware of people around me. I'm just a little more cognizant because I realize I'm not in paradise anymore. I'm in the collapsing Western world. I'm like, oh yeah. Especially London, I'm staying in a part of town called Kensington. And it's in one of the nicer areas, not the nicest, but the nicer. But most of the time I've been spending in London is the nicer areas. So Chelsea, Belgravia, Kensington, and these nice areas, crime has skyrocketed in the nice areas. We've discussed this on this channel, where other podcasts, where usually under normal conditions, not collapsing Western conditions, but under normal conditions, you have a big city and you have nice areas that are low crime and bad areas that are high crime. You just don't go to the bad areas and you're okay. That's how it is in Central America, the Latin world. Most cities in the Latin world, including Asuncion, where I'm going to soon. In places like not Paraguay, but Colombia, Mexico, you have the bad areas of the city and the good areas, and you stay in the good areas, don't go to the bad, you're fine. That's not true in Western cities anymore. I've done entire videos on this, entire podcast. I've shown you all the stats. Crime is rising everywhere in Western cities, including here in London. So in the nice, expensive areas, of which I'm in one of them, crime rates have skyrocketed. People in expensive areas, people smash windows and you have robberies and it's very similar to LA, where a lot of crime is now legal in London. So it's sad. So hang on, my camera is moving. Hang on a second. I've got this jury rig set up in my hotel room here. Hang on one moment. Don't move. I'm not pointing at you, I'm pointing at the camera. Okay. Andrew Tate is right. UK is a failed society, as is the United States, as is Canada, as is Europe, as is Australia. Yeah. Okay. What else do I want to say about London really quick? I didn't write these down. All these observations because I've been around all over the city the last few days. Londoners have this similar vibe to, not as extreme as, but similar to New Zealanders. So when you go to New Zealand, I've written about this. They're very nice, but in New Zealand, they're very spacey. So when you walk down Auckland, New Zealand, everyone's just kind of in their own world. And they bump into you. Oh, I'm sorry. And they they walk into stuff, or they almost walk into the car, and they're just all in their own world. It's something having to do with the New Zealand culture. You got a little bit of that here in London, where people are a little, not as bad as New Zealand, but people are kind of spacey here. There's something about the British culture where you're just kind of in yourself in a way that I don't understand. Something else, and I did tell the guys this, and this is something that a lot of people in the UK are furious about. I don't care, because this is part of what happens when you vote for horrible people for 35 years, as you people in London have done, just like the United States. Is that I told you I'm all over the nicer areas of London, and since arriving here last Wednesday, it is now what, Monday? So last 4 or 5 days, the number of people I have heard with American accents is shocking. I'm like, what the hell? When I come to London, I want to hear hello. I want to hear British accents. I don't want to hear people sounding me. And I'm hearing all these Americans. I guess some might be Canadians, but Americans. I'm like, what the fuck? And it dawned on me, this is June. This is where probably most Americans visit Europe in the summer. So holy shit. So then I hear, when you're hearing people talk, then you hear a whole bunch of people not speaking English, which is a big part of contention for you UK folks. That's why you did Brexit, right? Some of you. So what I told the guys, this is true. In the past 4 or 5 days, speaking purely anecdotally, this is my individual experience going around the areas of part of town, is I have heard, if you add up the number of American accents that I'm hearing, the number of people who don't speak English, if you add those two groups of people together, those far outweigh people I hear speaking English with a British accent. Weird. London wasn't like this. That's just a few years ago. This is new. Like, wow, this is so strange. And I promise you, if I have time this evening, I probably won't. I'm going to go out, walk around. And when I start listening to people, I'm going to hear a lot of people not speaking English, a lot of Americans or Canadians, and a few British people. Very interesting. And we could do a whole thing on that, I'm sure. But, right? I was shocked. The way places change. I'm about to visit my hometown in a few weeks, Portland, Oregon. And I've talked many times about how different that is now. Portland, Oregon was one of the most livable cities in the entire world for most of my lifetime when I lived there. And now it's just a horrible, disgusting shithole. And it gets worse every year. The way things change quickly. Also, you got guys who say, well, yeah, the West is collapsing. But Caleb, come on, man. It's going to take 100 years. No, it's not. Exhibit A, London. Exhibit B, the entire West Coast of the United States. These places went from awesome to shit in less than a decade. It's not going to take 100 years. Although one of the collapse scenarios is slow decline, but slow decline is not going to take 100 years. It might take 30 or 40 or 50, not 100. This stuff's happening very quickly. It's kind of sad. Let's answer a few questions. A bunch of you are saying things about London here. And again, if those of you who live here, you know this more about this than I do, right? If you could only choose one type of customer, would you rather sell to businesses or consumers? Businesses. B2B is always better. And if you join 90-Day Business Builder, 90day.ca, so 90day.ca, if you don't have a preference, you will notice that we, especially Billy, who'll be on in a few minutes, really push you toward B2B. You need less customers. They're easier to work with. You can charge higher prices, and they don't get as pissed off and ask for refunds and stuff, companies. So it's just easier. I'm 1 year into my Alpha 2.0 business, making 100K. Cool. Writing highly technical content for SaaS companies. Great. Fantastic. Revenue dipped and hunting new clients is tiring. Any tips for increasing client retention? Exit interviews. When they say we don't want you anymore, you have a quick meeting and you ask them a bunch of questions. Why are they leaving? Is it something external to our relationship? Is it part of our relationship? And the way you form it as, I want to be a better blah, 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 blah writer. And you make very careful notes. You find out what they're complaining about. Number one. Number two, more engagement with existing customers. The more you engage with customers on a regular basis, the more attention you'll get. So those two things. There's a bunch of things, but those are the two big ones. Let's see. It was quite surreal seeing in person 3D after seeing on the screen for many years. Well, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing for me too, because there's some faces there, including two people on my team who I've never met. So Matthew is there. I've worked with Matthew for 5-6 years. Jan's there. I've been working with Jan off and on for years. So it's funny seeing them. And then it's a few of you have been in some of our coaching programs, a small number of you, and it's one or two have been in Business Builder. I'm like, oh yeah, him. So yeah, it's always weird. And I relate because the guy that I followed in the 90s pre-internet was Brian Tracy, and I finally met him, and that was really weird. So I get why it feels weird. I understand that. UK is real bad. Even London is starting to feel like other cities in the UK, like Manchester and Liverpool. Yes, correct. For the Get Residency Paraguay program, other than flight and living expenses, what other costs should I be aware of? If you pay us, that's it. That's the whole point of paying us. You pay one fee, and you just worry about your flight and in some cases your hotel. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. We cover everything. And food. How much does it cost to get my cedula? Through us, it's about $2,000, $2,000. UK is a second world country attached to London. Attention spans have gone down. Yeah. Hello from an overly woke, socialist, wacky Canada. Oh, from overly woke, socialist, wacky Canada, where our new capital gains tax kicks in later in June. Awesome. I know that. What am I going to say? I've mentioned this. You guys in Canada with that capital gains shit. What am I going to say? Why are you still in Canada? What are you doing? The question is, how bad does it have to get for you to actually get off your ass and leave? Or set up an international backup plan, because the vast majority have neither of those things. If you, quote, can't leave in quotes, which is bullshit, but you can't, at a very minimum, you should have a backup plan, which means you have residency somewhere else. Paraguay, Armenia, Dubai, Mexico, there's a number of options. Uruguay, there's a number of options. And you have a bank account there, local currency there. And you know the city pretty well. You need to at least have that. What a lot of you are doing is you're like, you make a bunch of bullshit beta male pussy excuses about how you can't leave, so you do nothing. No, if you, quote, can't leave, and you're lying, you can. But if you, quote, in quotes, can't leave, then at least you set up an international backup plan. So when it gets bad enough, you're like, okay, fuck this, and you're out. We talked about this a lot at the live session this weekend. A lot. And the point I made to those guys was, the point I'll make to you, if you don't have a backup plan ready, emotionally it'll be harder for you to leave, because you have to start all over, like, oh, it's so much work, it's so complicated. If you have a backup plan, it's easy to leave. So when it gets even a little bad, you say, fuck this, and you're out. That's why it was so easy for me to leave during the pandemic, because I had all this stuff already in place when it happened. I said, fuck this, I'm out. I wasn't going to leave the United States until 2025. I left in 2021 because I saw the writing go on. So I'm going to get the fuck out now. And I could do it. It was like, oh no. So this is going to keep happening, folks. Crime is going to go up. Taxes are going to go up. People get more pissed. Cost of living is going to go up. Inflation is going to go up. When do you say, all right, fine, I'll set up a national backup? When do you do it? Some of you, the answer is never. Good, great. Like, this is why I've said most people are just going to go down with the ship. I'm from a third world country. To get a better passport, I have a choice between Australia and UK. What would you use? I would get both. That's my standard default answer. Get as many as you can. Doesn't matter. Get both. A lot of British people are moving to Dubai. I know. I have some friends of the female persuasion in Dubai who live here, who I've been seeing here. So, yeah, I know. Hell of a lot of people. Lots of young, wealthy, entrepreneurial guys are in Dubai. There's 4 or 5 YouTubers. I can give you names right now. I'm not going to. Some of you know who they are, okay, who are there right now, and they're all from the UK. They all have British accents. Guys in their 20s, early 30s. 6-figure, 7-figure guys in Dubai. Yeah, because they know. Yeah, good for them. Would you say guys in the UK are more beta than American guys? Guys being more beta is the norm. It's more prevalent in British culture, i.e. the Brits are more reserved and have modest mannerisms. Historically, yes. Americans were less beta than Brits. Yes. Today, Americans have gotten so bad, they're probably on par. They're probably about the same. So today, right now, in 2024, I don't think there's a huge difference. But yes, historically, oh yeah. Yeah, British guys were more beta. And you know what? I'm not saying that. Women would tell you that. I've had a lot of conversations with women in Dubai about dating men from different cultures. And if you date a guy from Eastern Europe, you have this problem and this good thing. And if you date a British guy, you have these issues and these good things. If you date an Arabic guy, you have these issues and these good things. If you date an American guy, none of them date American guys except me, because Americans don't travel because they're dumbasses. So, you know, yeah. And one of the things about British guys is they're pushovers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But American guys are too now. So I don't think there's a big difference anymore. MLB had their London series over this weekend. Oh, and everyone's watching it. I was just at a hotel getting some work done, and guess what's on the TV? Oh yeah, of course. I really want the UK, but okay, here comes the pussy bullshit excuse. Let's see what he says. I really want to leave the UK, but I don't have the funds for a second passport at the moment. Bullshit excuse. I don't have a second passport, and I don't live here, and I don't live in the US. Bullshit excuse. You are exhibit A of coming up with bullshit excuses that don't matter. You do not need a second passport to leave your country. I don't have a second passport. I have residencies. Get a residency. You can get a residency in Mexico for $2,000. Anyone can afford $2,000. Paraguay, a little more, not much. Our residencies starting to get priced for a new start. Are residencies more reasonably priced for a new start? I just said that, yes. In A2, you can't have employees. How do you retain team members long-term if they're all contractors working remotely? I have been working with people for 5, 6, 7 years. I don't have that problem. You treat them well. You give them opportunities. And what I do, and I'm not a great manager. Billy's much better than I am. But what I've done with my team is I ask them what they want to do, and I move them in that direction. So once I'm working with someone for a few months, I understand who that person is. I will go to that person, And I'll say, I want you to do in this company what you want to do, not what I want you to do. So what do you want to do? And sometimes they say, I don't know, but often they say, well, I really like doing this. And I will say, great, let's move you in that. Now you can't do it tomorrow. Maybe it takes a few months to make that transition. So you do that, they stay, with rare exception. So that's my technique. Instead of saying, I hired this person to do this and that's what this person does, you know. In a small business, in a big corporation, that's how it works. In a small business, like Jeff, Matthew, Billy are all doing completely different things than when they were first hired to do. All of them. And they've been with me for years. And I'm nice. I'm a nice boss. I may not seem like it, but I am. And here's a big thing that people told me that other bosses don't do. When I make a mistake and I fuck something up, which happens all the time, I admit it. Hey guys, we have this problem. It's a big problem. It's my fault. I completely fucked this up. It's 100% my fault. And I will have people being like, oh my God, you know, I've had 3 bosses. I've never had a boss that actually said, would fuck something up and admit that oh my God. So that Alpha 2.0 outcome independence helps a lot with this stuff because I don't have an ego. Can you picture someone like an Alpha Male 1.0 saying something like that? Can you picture Grant Cardone or Andrew Tate saying like, look, I fucked this up. This is all my fault. I'm really sorry. No. All right, a few more questions and then we'll shift gears here. I know maybe part of the 2% rule, but since Armenia is having problems with Azerbaijan, would Armenia be a riskier place in the long term to live or as a backup plan option? I've addressed this many times. I do not recommend Armenia as a place to live 12 months out of the year. A, Azerbaijan, B, taxes. So as a place to live half the year, if you live on the western side of the country, it's fine. It's beautiful. It's great. You'll be fine. I don't think it's a good place to live 12 months out of the year because of A, the adjacent enemy rule. It violates that rule. And B, similar to Mexico, if you stay there more than 6 months, you will incur a tax if you're not careful. But use as a flag, yes. Residency, yes. I'm going for my passport in Armenia in November, December. My 3 years are coming up on residency, so now I can apply for citizenship in Armenia. Very excited. I'm living in Canada. Get out. Working on getting my 5th flag planted this year. Great, then get out. Stop planting flags and leave. Can only get either Australia and UK because of time commitment, and afterwards I want to move to someplace like the UAE. If you could only pick one from UK or Australia, what would you pick? They're both awful, so flip a coin. What countries do you think has the most alpha men? Russia. Now, I didn't say happiest men. I didn't say the most fulfilled men. You said the most alpha men. Alpha in the Western world, Russia. Working my plan B. Good. We'll have 2 residencies this year, 2 international accounts. Excellent. Good. Thank you. Dave Albers. Thank you for actually doing what you need to do instead of talking about it or thinking about it. Good for you. Excellent. Committed to the progress this year and some other steps. Excellent. Love you to death. Fantastic. Need more people like you. Went to Lisbon recently. Loved it so much. Is Portuguese passport a good one to work towards? No. So here's my bottom line on all these is this passport good questions. Caleb, I can easily get this passport. Should I get it? My answer is almost always yes, even if it's a bad country, other than maybe the US. Exclude the US, but no one can get a US passport easily. Okay, so, hey, I get a UK passport. Should I get it? Should I get an Italian passport? Yes, get it. Yes. Now, if the question is instead, I'm looking at the whole world to get passports. Out of the whole world, should I work toward a passport that's here in Western Europe, like Portugal? No. Nothing in Western Europe. No. If you can easily get it, get it. If you work toward it, no. Portugal is in Europe and it's in Western Europe. No. There's 27 other passports that are way better than that you could get, that you should get. I should just have a macro that answers that question. Caleb, I could really easily get this passport. Should I get it? Yes. Caleb, should I work toward getting a German passport? No. Is it in Europe? Yes. Then no. Control V. No. Where am I here? What the hell happened here? Abu Dhabi or Sharjah? Depends on you can't ask questions like this. Depends on you. What do you like? What do you not like? How old are you? How much money do you make? I need to know all that data, and then I can give you some suggestions. Sharjah and Abu Dhabi are radically different. Depends on what you're doing. Depends on your lifestyle, income, a lot of things. Saudi and Qatar, same deal. Same thing. Qatar and Saudi are both trying to be the next Dubai. Qatar is about 10 years behind Dubai. Saudi is around the same, but Saudi is moving more quickly than Qatar because Saudi has more motivation to be like Dubai and a lot more money than Qatar. So, but you might hate Saudi. You might prefer Qatar because you got more beachfront stuff. I don't know. I'm definitely checking out. I'll be in Qatar in December. I'm going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, several times over the next 18 months. I'm really checking out Saudi for a lot of reasons. Because Saudi has made huge, huge strides, positive ones. A friend of mine wants to move to Italy specifically because he likes the women. What should I tell him? I don't know your friend. Again, these questions. Should I move to Italy? I don't know. Should my friend move to Italy? I don't know. How old is he? What are his priorities? Is it just dating and that's it? Is he 22? If he's 22 and all he wants is pussy, okay, sure. Is he poor? Is he rich? I can't answer these questions. I need way more information. I'm working on quals to create tech drawings and CAD to electrical companies. I would not do that. I know you're not going to stop what you're doing. Technical work is the first work that people outsource. It is also, in large part, some of the first sectors that will be wiped out by AI. So this learn to code thing, you got to get this out of your head, guys. I know you're not coding, but can this be made into a business rather than a solopreneur gig? Yes. Have you seen this kind of thing? Yes, but I wouldn't do it. So what I would do is instead is take your knowledge of CAD, don't do any CAD work, hire CAD engineers, and then have a business that sells CAD projects to companies that need it. That's what I would do. I would not do the CAD. I would not do any technical work because we can outsource that stuff. He's 31. That doesn't tell me. I asked a lot of questions, not just that. What's my camera doing? I like Italian women. I think they're beautiful and I love the language, but that's me. I think that's because I'm Sicilian. I'm like 40% Sicilian. So I have some of that. I think some of that's in my DNA. So the, I think it's really hot. You want a celebrity example of Italian woman. Do you remember the Italian woman? I don't remember her name in Casino Royale, who he met in the Bahamas. She was only in the movie for like maybe 8 minutes, but hot. I like that. And I'm into blondes. So there you go. I own a landscaping business in the US using all my profits to start a location-independent business. I just got my Mexican dual citizenship. Excellent. And plan to move to Cancun in 1 to 2 years. Great. Great. Good for you. Hang on one moment. I need to check something here. Hang on a second. I have to multitask for a moment. Take a drink of water. So in the UK, in their water bottles, they have this. If you look at the video, all the water bottles have this. You don't just take the top, you unscrew the top, you put the top aside. No, it's stuck. It's attached. And so when you drink it, it stabs in your fucking face. It stabs in your face. So you have to hold it and then drink. So how much you want to fucking bet there is some law that requires the fucking water companies to attach their tabs to the thing, probably to reduce pollution or landfills or some bullshit. How much you want to bet there's a goddamn law that they made? Now, from now on, every company that wants to sell water in the UK must have their plastic tops permanently attached to the plastic thing because socialism and welfare statism and big government. So fuck you. How much do I bet? So I'm spending the whole time like tearing the things off because I drink a lot of water here. Shit, dude. All right. Tear it off. Yeah, I do. So then you tear it off, you get this thing that sticks out the side, you drink that, stabs your cheek. So you need like scissors. I love big government. Welcome to Europe. Here's something else. I'm going to bitch about Europe for a second because Dubai, unfortunately, one of the negatives of Dubai is it copies the UK infrastructure model. So the UK/European residential infrastructure model is, and when you're American, you're always shocked when you, especially if you've never been to Europe before, they don't put any plugs in their bathrooms. So when you go to plug in your razor, or if you're a woman, plug in your hair dryer, your hair, you can't plug it anywhere. Now, some bathrooms have the little tiny half-ass one that barely charges anything. They have those, some of them. So what you have to do is you got to go get a fucking extension cord, plug it way out in the hallway, drag it in the bathroom because there's no mirror. And so for years I was putting up with this when I traveled to Europe and in Dubai also. Dubai's like this too. And so you ask these Europeans, why don't you have fucking plugs in your bathrooms? What the fuck? And most Europeans go, I don't know. But finally I got the answer. One European knew the answer. Well, the answer is, according to this person, maybe he's wrong. I believe it. Well, very mommy state European, government is your mommy and takes care of you. Well, you might have a fire. I'm like, what? Yeah, you might have a fire. I mean, if you plug your razor into the plug in the socket in the bathroom, you might have a fire in the bathroom. So I'm like, so they made it illegal to plug everything in the bathroom? Yeah, because you might have a fire. Hang on. Something's going on with my here we go. Hi, Billy. 1 second. Something's going on with my video. Hang on. What's going on? Hang on. Oh, you know what? I know what I do. Hang on a second. If you're on the live stream, I got to fix something. There we go. I was like, okay, first of all, that's my decision. Second of all, I live in a country, you might have heard of it, called the United States. And you might have heard the fact that there's like 360 million people who have been plugging stuff in their bathrooms for, I don't know, about 100 years, and we don't have any fires. And the Europeans like, oh, yeah, great. I love big government. Okay, a few more questions. I'll bring on Billy. What are your thoughts on creating a niche job board as an Alpha 2.0 business? If you're very niched, sure. I know landscaping business in the... Hang on. Can you guys still hear me? My video's slow. Hang on, I'm going to pause. I'm having internet connection problems, so give me a minute. I'm going to try to fix this. Again, welcome to London. Again, when you're in Dubai, you don't have these problems. Hang on. I may have to kill my video for a second and switch internet connections to my phone. I'm getting 100% on the hotel Wi-Fi. It's weird. Okay, hang on. Testing, testing, testing. Okay. Could you, those of you in the live chat, confirm you could both see me clearly and hear me? And I'm going to wait a minute. Fucking internet sucks, governor. It's bullshit. Looks good. Okay. I'm going to bring on Billy now. This might happen again. If this keeps happening, we may have to cut this short because I have no other options for this. Next time I do a live stream, well, let's see. What am I doing a live stream? Oh, I'm doing an Alpha 2.0 on a Wednesday here. I might find a different location for the next live stream. Okay. Billy, are you good? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready and you can hear me. Cool. All right. Wookie. Sorry about that. Bring on Billy here. Hello.
Hi, Caleb.
Oh, you can talk. All right, awesome. Let me turn down my volume.
I don't think that's ever been a problem for me.
You do have the princess tiara on. You did it. Good.
That's because
So
I'm
you're
the
like
queen.
Frozen and I'm like England.
I'm the queen of event planning, so I thought I would dress appropriately.
Right. Right. Let's see. Hang on. Let me double check one quick thing here. If I didn't get your questions when I had problems, we will rewind back in a few minutes when we do Q&A. So let's talk about how corporate people make the transition from a corporate company person to self-employed person. And I know we have a lot of experience with this now in Business Builder because we have a lot. That's what that program is for. I mean, really, it's for people with good jobs, decent jobs, who hate their job, want to have their own business. And I've been on meetings in that program, and I know you have too, probably more than me, actually. Not probably, I'm sure more than me, where they say, I've been an employee my whole life, and thinking in terms of like pricing something or niching something or doing this or doing that is just alien to me. And people who say this are people who, are smart guys and gals. These are not, it has to do with intelligence or experience or skill. It has to do with what they're used to in their context. Right? So
I think it does. We're programmed in a certain way, and you have to break the programming in order to become independent. That's essentially what Caleb and I are about allowing and empowering you to do. Right, Caleb?
Right. Now, I have some ideas on how to do that. And we've done some of this in the program and with some other people. And also when we coach people too, you and I both. I'll let you start. What are the mental shifts that people need to make? You can answer it, then I'll give my answer, unless you give my answer, and you might. But mentally, how do they make those transitions mentally? Because that's kind of, tell me if you disagree. That's kind of what we're talking about, is not what to do. That's easy. It's the mental shift you have to make from being an employee your whole life to having your own business.
Exactly. So there are two portions to that. Number one is fear. You need to be able to jump into uncertainty and accept that is going to be part of your life and embrace it. It's the uncertainty that makes entrepreneurship exciting, but it's what makes it scary and unapproachable to most people. So the biggest shift is that it's doable, right? And that you can do something different, and that's okay. There's a lot of fear associated with doing something different. Number one, you don't have this financial security changes, right? That's going to happen anytime you take a risk, changing jobs, whatever it is. Your financial situation becomes unstable for that period. And that's unacceptable for a lot of people. But that's the key, is you need to embrace that discomfort and move forward with it, accepting it, and then finding solutions for the things that trouble you or that you're not able to do. So I think that's first. The second is going to be surrounding yourself by people who understand, because the people in your life don't. People in my life don't. They still don't. Most people don't know what I do. They've known me for years or decades, and they still don't really have a concept of what it is that I do. So how would they be able to tell me what's possible? They have no idea what I do. They cannot do what I can do. They don't have the same experience as me, regardless of what that is in life. They do not, no person has the same experiences as me. So why would I let someone else's limitations or limiting beliefs color my own judgment? And that can be the hardest part, is that you feel very alone doing most of this. And people like Caleb and I are in general okay with that. But I'm a little more social than he is, and I need a little bit more support and validation. And you have to create that community, and you cannot count on it coming from your friends and family, because they mean so well, but they have no idea. Unless they've done it themselves, they have no idea. So, Caleb, what would you add to that?
I forgot about the people part. When I did the seminar here in London on Saturday, I actually discussed that, because I usually discuss the emotional / social aspect of this. So let me reiterate really quick before I get to my answer what Billie just said about your friends and family are going to have no context for this unless you were very lucky. I was lucky in that my dad was self-employed, and that did help. Now he was very, he didn't follow the models that I talk about, and he was kind of miserable. But at least he was self-employed, and he was able to go from pretty poor when I was a little kid to, by the time I was in my 30s, he was a self-made millionaire, and that wouldn't have happened if he had a job. So at least I had some of that. But Billie is right. When you make these transitions, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your close friends, with some exceptions, sometimes depends on who you are not going to understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. And worst case scenario, and I've seen people go through this, they warn you. So
Yeah.
it's like, so it's like when Americans go to Mexico or Central Latin world, you say, I'm going on a trip, and you're American, you're talking to an American. I'm going on a trip. Oh, really? Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Paraguay, or I'm going to Colombia, or I'm going to Mexico. So what do most Americans say? They go, oh, be careful.
So dangerous.
Right. At a minimum, they go, well, okay, be careful, because of societal programming. It's very similar to that with some of you when you start your own business. They go, well, okay. I mean, I hope you know what you're doing, and be careful. Or they'll say, what are you doing? Are you doing Amway? You do some kind of scam? Is it a scam? People try to scam you. You get that? And it's not because Billie said this. She's right. It's not because these people don't love you. They do love you. That's why they're trying to help you. Mm-hmm. But you got to realize they live on another planet. And so if you live on Mars, you don't want to give people who live on Venus some opinions on how to live their life, because it's a whole different context. So that's a really good point that I usually don't address as often as I should, and I probably should more. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Balance each other.
Right. That's right. See, this is something I don't even think about. Because if someone said to me, I'm sure they probably did, when I started my first business when I was 24, oh, be careful. I want to, well, fuck you. So I don't have, like, dumbass. You're the one that you want to work the rest of your life? Go ahead. You want to have a boss the rest of your life? Okay, dumb fuck. But that's me, and I'm weird. So one thing I do remember was when I started my first full-time business as a computer consultant in my 20s, this was my experience, is that I worked for Nike. It was my last job as an employee in 1996. Nike, and then before Nike was a big bank called First Interstate Bank Corporate, which was bought out by Wells Fargo. And when I worked at Nike and a little bit at First, I worked in the IT department of these companies. And I found that of all the little people who worked in the IT department, any big corporation, 1 out of 3, and this was the number, I tracked this, 1 out of 3 people who worked in the IT department had tried to start their own business. They quit their job. They tried to start a business as a consultant or building servers or something like that. And it didn't work. They didn't make enough money quickly, and their wives yelled at them, or their girlfriends yelled at them, or they got nervous, and they went back to work. So I was surrounded with business failures. Now, these are smart guys and good people. Some of them are my close friends. But I could see this fear about, oh, be careful. I tried that once, and it was fun for about a few weeks, and then I couldn't pay my mortgage, so then I came back to work here. So I'm glad you brought that up. Shit, now I forgot what I was going to say. That was such an important point. Context and, I've already talked about this a lot. the biggest problem we have with our audience, I think this is my opinion, Billy, you're free to disagree. The biggest problem we have with this specific segment of humanity that is into our content is they're smart, usually introverted, not always, usually in the INTJ-ish, not exactly INT, but kind of in that zone. And so usually college educated, not always. Oh, great. Can you hear me? Okay, that guy came back.
You're good.
Fear of making a mistake. You're scared of making a mistake.
You're going to.
Hang on, I'll wait.
I'll keep chatting. Yeah, you've been here.
Am I back yet?
Yes.
Okay, I have. Sorry. Okay, and my side it gets spotty. Fear of making a mistake. What if I pick the wrong niche? What if I pick the wrong product? What if I price it wrong? Why would anyone hire me? I'm an idiot. And you have a lot of this. And the reason you have this is because you came right out. You went from school system where making a mistake is bad. You get a D on your report card and your mom gets pissed off. Then you went right into the work world where if you fuck up, you don't follow the rules, you get fired or you get reprimanded. You don't get your 2% raise. So you've lived a life where making mistakes are bad. And Billy was talking about the instability is part of the good part. Part of the good part is mistakes are good. So when you have a job or go to school, mistakes are bad. And it makes sense. I mean, I have people working for me. I don't like when they make mistakes. Now, I don't get mad, but I don't like it. So it makes sense for that world to say, don't make mistakes. When you become an entrepreneur, especially a full-time entrepreneur, you make all kinds of mistakes, like all the fucking time. And I just said a few minutes ago how when I make mistakes, I tell my team this is my fault. And they've told me that this is new. Other bosses don't say that because I'm making mistakes all the time because mistakes are good. The only way you improve as a business owner and make more money is by making constant mistakes over and over and over again. That's how you improve. Matter of fact, I'm working right now on developing one of our funnels. And the entire process of developing a profitable marketing funnel is you make lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of little mistakes. And you just keep course correcting. So you make a mistake on how to run the ad. You make a mistake on how to A/B split test the ad. You make a mistake on the opt-in page. You make a mistake on how they opt in. You make a mistake on the lead magnet. And you just constantly course correcting all these little mistakes. And then you make millions of dollars. But you have to make a lot of mistakes to get there. And that's
different than charting a course on a yacht. You're an explorer, for example, and you are going on a voyage. You don't just plan, point A to point B. You constantly have to make little changes, little corrections. That is the course. There's nothing, you haven't made a mistake because you're constantly having to adjust for the variables around you. And that's why we support ourselves with the community as well. Lean on other people who've already made the mistakes. Let them help you and just reduce the mistakes that you'll make. No big deal.
Yeah. So 2 pieces to that. First of all, this is an old Tony Robbins quote. When you fly in an airplane, including today with computers and AI and all that shit controlling the planes, you are off course. When I fly from Dubai to Miami, and it's a 14-hour flight, kill me, but I'm used to them now, 15-hour flight, you're off course 98% of the time. And the pilot just keeps course correcting. And that's normal and okay. The pilot goes, oh my God, we made a mistake. We got to go back to Dubai now. So number 1. Number 2 is if you follow a model, and obviously we like 90-Day Business Builder, but anyone's model that has done it before you minimize the catastrophic mistakes. You will not minimize all the mistakes. You'll still make lots of little mistakes. That's part of life. I follow models. That's how I've been successful. I didn't make all this shit up. I followed other models of other people starting back in the 90s when I first started doing this stuff. But when you follow a model, you don't need to worry about, oh my God, what if I lose 2 years of my life? I waste 2 years. That's not going to happen. If you follow 90-Day Business Builder or any other model, Dan Locke, any other model you can think of on the internet or in a book, that's probably not going to happen if you follow the model. Now, if you don't follow the model, then yeah. But if you follow the model, it takes the big risk out of the equation. And risk to me is big mistakes. And I've made 1 or 2 of those too. But you take the big mistakes out and you just leave all the little ones that don't affect your life. So then you can kind of relax a little bit. Because you're going to have to still make mistakes, but the little mistakes are good.
And it's the little mistakes that allow you to teach others. Because if you're making little mistakes, the odds are other people have done so before you, whether that is, in a service that you're providing, whether that's in your business. Other There are always ways forward. I think that's really the takeaway from this, is that there's always a path forward. You just have to be open to looking for it. And that's the other part of moving forward with discomfort, is you have to trust that there's a path there. You don't have to know all the details of that path. You don't
Mhm.
have to do, if I'm flying that plane, I don't have to know where there's going to be turbulence, where there are certain clouds. I just adjust when they appear. And I know that simplifying it for any pilots out there, I do know better, but you get the
I have a very specific income goal for my companies for April of 2026 that I've been working on for many years. And I don't know precisely how I'm going to get there. I have a decent idea on the big picture. I have a decent idea, but I don't know. Don't know. And that's okay. And that's how business works. I'm going to get there. If I don't get there, I'll get there shortly after, or I'll get close to whatever. So I don't exactly know. Literally, here's the 12-step process to get from here to there. Now, I know a lot of it. I know maybe 70% of it. There's 30, it's at least 30%, maybe 40%. I don't know. Don't have any idea. And I'll
I
figure
like
it out as
to
I go along. And that's how it works.
I like to equate it to a road trip. Christy, who's one of the coaches on my team, and I just did a friend's trip out to, where did we fly into Phoenix? We went up to the Grand Canyon and then up to Antelope Canyon, and then the Grand Canyon, or no, Sedona, Flagstaff, Antelope Canyon, Grand Canyon, Vegas, right?
Gee.
I planned the hotel for when we landed and the night before we departed. Everything else was variable. We didn't book hotels, we didn't plan anything.
Wow.
Seat of the pants all the way, right? Because we knew we could make adjustments on the fly and that there would be variables. If the weather is bad this day, we cannot go underground into this narrow, dangerous canyon that could flood. Regardless of how much we might want to go, it's closed. It's not happening. So we had to be really flexible. And that is really how I equate the path of a business. You know the starting point, you know the end point, and you apply lots of flexibility as you're winding your way to that end result.
See, I don't do that. I plan out, and I plan my travel. I have
Yeah.
every little bit planned out. However, for the first time, so as you know, I'm going to spend, I'm going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona for like 3 weeks, but 4 or 5 days, those I'll be back in Portland visiting my family.
Mhm.
And for the first time ever, I'm going to do a Billy. I'm going to not get a hotel for the Portland stay, the 4 days. Normally, I would have had that hotel rented like
Yes.
months ago, and it'd be in my little spreadsheet. And then this time, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I should stay in the Vancouver area. I'm not going to stay downtown Portland because I'll get shot or whatever. Or stay near my friends, or stay near my family, or stay near where my daughter. I don't know. So I'm just going to wait and just figure it out, which I don't do. Like, I'm not
No,
like you at that with the travel.
Christy doesn't either. She's a very much an alpha. Everything has to be laid out.
Yeah.
And I like that in certain circumstances, but I've had to learn. I trained horses for many years. It's, man, they're opinionated little bastards. You have no idea.
Mhm.
So you have to learn to be really flexible. And that's something that I've had to learn and work at over the years, but it served me really well. And it serves me well in business and in coaching every day, because I can't come into a one-on-one coaching session with a fixed idea of what's going to happen, right?
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
to be flexible so that I can react to the needs of my client.
Yeah.
That's all any of this
It's
is
really important.
creating the community around yourself, which provides that safety net for you by helping you minimize mistakes, minimize expenses, right? And get you on the path to success more quickly.
Um, let's talk really quick about making the transition, actually quitting your job. So I'll tell you, and I'll tell the guys, I've spoken about this before. My formula for when you quit your job, this is my formula, and I've mentioned this before, guys, and a few gals. Um, what you do is, once your business, you start your business on the side. You don't quit your job and start your new business unless you have a lot of money in savings. You got 3 or 4 years of savings and do whatever you want. But if you're a normal human, you probably don't have those resources. You don't just quit your job and then start looking for a niche. That's not how this works. So it's not
No.
like this. You don't incur this massive level of risk. I didn't do that. I was working as a computer consultant for like 2 or 3 years in addition to having a job before I went full time. So anyway, and it won't take you that long because I didn't have these models. But anyway, the model that I recommend is, and Billy, you can give a model. You might have a model in your head. When your business makes 40% of what your salaried income is, 40% of that, 3 months in a row, you can now quit. And the reason for that is if you're making 40% of what you're making at your job on part-time work, because you're doing your job 40, 50 hours a week, when you quit, you suddenly have a new 40, 50 hours a week to put into your business. Do you think you could make up that other 60% pretty quick if I gave you another 40, 50 hours a week to work? Yeah, you could. It would take very little time. So in terms of, and that's a low risk way of quitting your job and not worry about, oh my God, I can never quit my job. I need the steady paycheck, blah, blah, blah. Have a business. You make 40% of your salaried income 3 months in a row. So what that might mean is you go through 3 months, you make a hunk of money, you divide it by 3, you get a monthly average. If that monthly average is 40% of your take home of your salary, you can quit, in my opinion. And if you're nervous, then you can raise that to 60% or 50%, wherever you want. If you have a lot of money in savings, you could knock it down to 20%. Maybe it depends what you want, but 40% is kind of the model. What is your advice when guys ask you, when should I quit my job? What do you tell them? Because that's what I tell them.
So I'm somewhere in the middle of where I would say like when you're ready, but that's ridiculous. Because no one is ever ready to make often people are not ready to make a commitment or a big life change, which is completely okay.
Emotionally ready, yeah.
So there are a couple of places. One is when you realize with your new business that you're actually enjoying the work. When you start really truly dreading going to work, and it hits differently. Caleb, I think you can attest to this. When you have a side income, whether that's a side hustle, whether it's a bigger business that you're building out, when you have that available to you, you put up with a whole lot less bullshit. Yep. So firstly, I say pay attention to your bullshit meter. Let that be my guide very frequently. But there's one thing I want to add here, Caleb, and that is there is a very specific group of people that I would say you probably need to quit your job and focus on this, or take a sabbatical and focus for 3 or 4 months. That is the people that are very scattered. So if you're someone like me that is ADHD and you are very much struggling, like you're not able to organize, you're not able to use your time well, you have a strong idea, but you're just not able to hit the tipping point. That's when I might consider really focusing, doing more one-on-one coaching, and really putting your energy and your executive function into what you're building, rather than using up all of your executive function on someone else's tasks. But that is a very specific case, and you do have to have a financial backup. Yeah. You can't do this if you don't have at least 6 months of living expenses in your savings account. Because, and Caleb has talked about this before, I'm even worse. I don't want you to give me your last dollar ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
I want you to give me maybe the last dollar you earned for somebody else.
Yeah, we like those. Those are.
But that's different. That's a different construct.
Yeah.
The reality is also, don't listen to other people. When you're making that determination for yourself, come up with a number. I really like that Caleb does this, because I don't. And I think that's a shortcoming for myself, or I don't apply a number. I don't say 25, 40%. And that is a shortcoming. So give yourself that number. Say, I need to be making this much a month before I quit, or before I reduce the hours in my job. Yeah. So that is another route to making the transition, and one that we are very fond of. If your role allows for it in any way, try to become a consultant to your business, or to the company where you work.
Yeah, to where you work, right. We've had people do that. We've had
numerous people do that.
Yeah.
And it's a great transitional piece, because you're able to pick up your own clients, but you're also then able to eliminate the meetings, all the admin related BS that comes with being part of a corporate team. So you can really structure the work that you do a little bit more specifically, and structure your time.
Let's talk about really quick. Let's address that really fast before we get to questions. On how you would do this. So the structure of how you make this work, we've had a lot of people do this. You go to your boss and you say, hey, boss, right now I'm a W-2 employee. And if you're not American, usually whatever equivalent of W-2 salary means, okay? I'm a W-2 employee. You got to pay a shitload of taxes to pay me, a bunch of Social Security tax and food tax, and you have to have a workman's comp insurance and all the bullshit, okay? Right. If you fire me, quote, then rehire me as a 1099 contractor. And again, if you're not American, convert a separate independent contractor. You can pay me less money. I'll get the same amount of money, but you could pay less because you don't have to pay those taxes. And then you don't have to give me any benefits. You got to give me health care and dental and blah, 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 blah. You don't give me any benefits.
Paid time off.
What?
Yeah, paid time off. All of these things are expensive.
PTO, you have to worry about any of that bullshit, boss.
Oh, we lost you for a second, Caleb.
I know. Hang on. Am I back yet?
Yes.
Hang on. I'll come back. Okay. And it's a benefit to you because now you don't pay those taxes. You can do it in LLC with an S election or the non-American equivalent. Pay less. And then, like Billy said, you now have a business, you can get your own clients. Mm-hmm. And you can be location dependent. You had to report to the office before. You negotiate it with your boss. You don't have to be at the office. Now you're location dependent. You move to Mexico. Or you move to El
here's
Salvador.
The other thing. Right. You can also hire people, delegate some of that work to other people. Because you're a contractor, it doesn't matter how it gets done. It matters that it gets done and you meet your delivery.
Now you can outsource it. Exactly. I didn't think of that. Correct.
Yep. That's an immediate win. Additionally, I just had a chat with a client in Poland. Great young guy. His job technically takes him about 3 hours a day. 3.
I know people like that in this community.
Like how many of us are required to be in the office for 9 hours? You're required to take an hour-long lunch break that you probably don't necessarily want because it's just another freaking hour that you have to be at the office or go back to the office. You can eliminate all of that. And if your workday takes 2 or 3 hours, you're done in 2 or 3 hours. You don't have to have the facade of, plonking away at things that you don't really need to be doing.
I'm gonna turn on a ticker here. A second. Why is this not working? Ticker show. There we go. And we've had people in our programs do literally that. And they jack up their income. We've had 2 specific guys I'm remembering. Billy has a better memory for this stuff than I do, but 2 guys in particular I remember who jacked up their income and instantly became location dependent just by making this change. They made more money after taxes and immediately moved out of the United States or UK or whatever, and made even less and paid even less tax. And they were doing the same amount of work, actually less work because they were able to outsource it. Then they got other clients. And they did this like within a 3-4 week transition, like within a month, they were self-employed.
Hugely fast transition period. Now that might not be feasible for all of you. You might say my boss would never go for that. First of all, I'm going to challenge that. You don't freaking know. You don't know until you ask. Right. And what are the odds that someone in your business has asked this question? I'm going to say maybe 1%, maybe.
Yeah, no one has the balls or the creativity to ask these questions, right?
Exactly. Right. Now, the other thing is you don't need like an LLC with an S election. You can literally just get an LLC in a country or a state that doesn't have state income taxes, for example.
Right.
My business entities are all in South Dakota. That express, and my residency now is also South Dakota.
Oh, good.
For that purpose, because it removes the state income taxes. It also puts me in a position where trusts and irrevocable trusts are much stronger there. Things, the legal system is set up for small business and digital nomads. So
let's segue to that right now. Unless you have something else to talk about before we segue to events. You good? Sorry. Okay, so perfect segue because I was telling Bill and I just talked a few hours ago. A lot of you are asking about South Dakota. This is Billy's South Dakota Residency Service for Americans. But let me cover really quick all the events and we'll do Q&A.
Okay.
First, there is a Phoenix mastermind that I'm doing in Phoenix in about 3 weeks. I think we have 2 open. I don't remember how many openings we have. I think we have openings left for that. So calebjones.com/events. All my events are there and all Billy's events are there. calebjones.com/events. So that, and then we have Get to Know Paraguay. We have a bunch of people coming to that. And the Uruguay event, which is both of those events are me and Billy. Those are in July. Those are still available at least for another, I think, week. If you go to the websites, it shows you the deadlines. Go ahead. Sorry. Or am I losing you? Or am I losing me?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that I was losing you.
You're probably losing me. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's on my end. You're good.
Okay. So the Get Residency events are coming up quickly, guys. The Get Residency in Uruguay begins on July the 11th.
Not
Day
Get
after
Residency.
my birthday,
Not
so
Get
get there
Residency.
early.
Not Get Residency in Uruguay. Not
Oh,
Get
I'm
Residency.
sorry.
Just before.
Get to know, not Get Residency. Forget I said that. So we're getting to know Uruguay from the 11th to the 14th. After that, we are getting to know Paraguay from the 15th until the 26th of July. So there are 2 opportunities. Caleb, when do those close for registration? I think it's at the end of this month. So we need
the end of this month, the end of June. One closes a few days before the other one. Yeah, you're right. It's the last day in June. So if you go to calebjones.com/events and click the thing, or don't even click the thing, it lists right there the deadlines right on that page. Deadline, and we just updated those a few days ago, so those are accurate.
Perfect.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time left. Plus, it's an international trip. You want time to plan and stuff. So yes, that's Uruguay and Paraguay. Get to know. And this was Billy's idea. I'm going to do this. Is if you go to any of the get to know events for a country, and then later, or if immediately right after, whenever, for the rest of your life, if you then do the get residency events or services for that country, we'll give you a discount. I don't know what the discount is, but we'll give you a decent discount because you've already been there and you've already done that part of that service.
Mm-hmm.
So we will discount you if you do then decide, yes, I love Paraguay or whatever, and you want to get residency there. Same thing with Mexico and all that other stuff. So yes.
With
then
because we love it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I was just thinking about this. I mean, I like being in London, but I was thinking about Paraguay. So we're like, oh man, I can't wait to go. Because I'm going to be there 3 months this time. I'm getting an apartment down there. I'm so excited. Anyway, I've talked about that before. Then Billy, can you talk about your 2? Let's talk about the Shark Tank one first, and then let's go into more detail about the Get Residency in South Dakota.
So it's not actually a Shark Tank thing. This is a little bit wilder than that because, you know, Auntie Billy. We have an event coming up for Boss Cooperative that is August 9th through the 11th. It's going to be held in Jupiter, Florida, which is not too far from Miami or Orlando. And this is going to be an event about overcoming your fear. It will be myself and Coach Christy and possibly one other coach. We're also getting a local psychologist to come. And it's going to be a chance where we literally stay together in the same house, all of us. We will do coaching and then we do activities. And the most exciting of the activities, we'll do some kayaking in the Everglades. But the most exciting thing is that we are going to go cage diving with sharks in the ocean. Yeah. So, and you can free dive if you want to. Like that is something that is offered by this service. This girl is shaped like a walrus, so I will be staying safely in that cage. But it should be a really cool event to help all of us overcome that fear that keeps us from doing things, whether that's starting your own business, whether that's quitting the job, whether that's making a move, whatever it is. There are many different reasons that we hold fear, and there are many different ways we can release that. And because Caleb knows this, I'm an adventure girl. I also don't learn very well in a classroom setting. I'm the person, if I'm in a lecture, I'm going to fall asleep. Even if I'm really interested in the subject matter, it's not going to happen. So
and you get really quick, you get business coaching with this, yes?
Yes, we get 2 full days of business coaching, some
Holy shit.
psychological
I thought it was
coaching.
one. Okay, great. Okay, good.
No, it is 2 days,
Good.
and the events. So we
Good.
basically we coach, and then we, are able to apply the lessons we've learned in real life and continue that growth.
What is that deadline to sign
So
up?
the deadline for that is going to be July 30th. So the end of
Okay, and
next
that's on the
month.
page. So the end of next, you have a
It's
little
on
more time because that's in August.
Yes, and because that's not international, it's easy to get there. It's fairly inexpensive. This one includes your lodging. And like you mentioned, you actually stay in a house with
Oh,
myself and the other
cool.
coaches.
Okay.
It includes a dinner, and the rest of your meals are on your own, but it's going to be pretty modest that way. Um, yeah, and we're going to limit it to a small group of people because we want it to be pretty intimate so that we all take away a lot. I'm
Okay,
excited about
now
that. I'm just
yeah,
bummed that you can't come this year, Caleb. We'll have to
I
do it again.
almost could. I mean, I have to stay. Yeah, I can't. I tried to figure out how I can next year. Well, we might still do Antarctica. So, hey, there's all
Well,
kinds
we're
of things we're
hoping,
doing.
yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely,
we can't talk
definitely.
about that yet, but there's all kinds of things we have in the works.
It is.
Okay, now. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So South Dakota.
South
So let
Dakota.
me overview that really fast. I'll have Billy give you guys details for you Americans. If you're not an American, this doesn't apply to you. So we'll get to questions in a second. If you're not American, you can chill out for about 2 or 3 minutes. If you're an American, the way it works is you need to get residency in a state that doesn't have state income tax. So when you're self-employed, you don't get dinged with that tax. Number one, and there's other benefits Billy will cover in a second. Number two, those of you Americans who are getting ready to leave America like I did, you must, unless you're stupid, you must get residency in a state that is zero state income tax before you leave, or else you're gonna have to file a tax return and potentially pay that state taxes after you leave the United States. That's why I moved to Washington State and got domiciled there before I left for Dubai. So if you have any plans to leave the United States or spending more time outside the United States, you also need to do this. And this is the fastest, easiest way to switch your state residency, your driver's license to South Dakota. Billy, explain it, because we got a lot of questions about this.
Okay, so there's a lot about South Dakota. I've spent a bunch of time there, and Matt Samp, who is one of the coaches in Boss Cooperative, is not only a paralegal, but his dad owns a large and incredibly reputable firm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So I've done this research myself. I've moved all of my businesses to South Dakota, and my domicile is currently South Dakota.
Cool.
And there are a bunch of reasons for this. The first one is, as Caleb mentioned, there's no personal income tax.
Right.
Huge, huge win. For those of you who are interested in property, there are very, very low property taxes there as well. So if you're building a family or something, it's worth considering. Next is that the business environment there is very, very friendly. There are low startup costs. The regulatory requirements are very low and simple. So they have essentially set up their state to be one of the easiest ones. Next is that South Dakota has really, really strong asset protection laws, particularly for those who set up trusts in the state. And we'll talk about that as it's a little bit more detailed. If you're interested in this and want to do a one-on-one, or if we get enough interest, I can have Matt and I can create a video for you. But essentially, it's a really great place to park your assets, and there are a lot of asset protection strategies built into the state. The next thing that's really interesting is that there are no estate or inheritance taxes in South Dakota, which makes estate planning for those of us who are a little bit older very advantageous. Honestly, even if you're a business owner just starting to build any kind of wealth, hugely advantageous because properly planning your estate in South Dakota allows for generational wealth to be created easily and passed on to the next generations.
I come from Oregon, where we have huge estate taxes, and my parents are both, one lives in Oregon and one doesn't, but they're both legally domiciled in Oregon. So when they die, I don't care. I already have my money, but what little money they have to donate to their kids, that's going to get taxed to hell. So if you have kids, or you're planning on ever having kids, again, even if you're going to leave the United States, you move your residency or driver's license state ID there, and then none of that estate taxes apply to you. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is a huge benefit. Next, this one seems cheesy to some people. However, there are very low fees for registering your vehicles in South Dakota. And basically, they do not require any emissions testing. So there are a lot of states, California is a good example, where you have to get emissions tested every year. It's expensive. You have to sit in line forever. It's a huge pain in the ass. There's none of that in South Dakota. I got my vehicle title transferred to South Dakota in my registration, and I was able to do it all by mail. I did not have to even go to South Dakota for that step.
Now that's a question. How many days do they need to physically be in South Dakota?
They need to be in South Dakota for 2 days.
2 days, guys. That's it. You can just take 2 days off work and go out.
That's exactly it. What's required is that we set up an address for you. And I work with a company that's been around for many, many years in South Dakota who does this. They also act as a registered agent. So if you want to start a business in South Dakota, but you don't want to keep up the annual filings or what have you, they will act as your agent. If you are from a different country, you can't get residency in South Dakota, but you can set up your LLC there. And the company we work with will do that for and with you.
That's a separate service, but yeah.
Cool. It's a separate service, but it's kind of an add-on. If you are coming out, it's something that can be added on. Entirely up to you guys. Because what we care about is what works for you.
Cool.
The next thing that we'll do is we go to the DMV and we'll set up those appointments for you. In some cases, we'll even go with you or the group will go together so we can hang out because no one likes being at the DMV all that much. But it's very simple. You literally get your driver's license that day. If you bring your vehicle title, you can actually transfer your title and get your new registration straight away the same day also. So it's a pretty quick process. It does require 2 days and definitely one overnight. But by the time you're done, you have a residency in South Dakota if you're American, and you can also register your business and your vehicle.
Do they actually leave with their driver's license, or does that take longer?
No,
so
you leave with
2 days. You leave your driver's license. Yeah, cool. Right.
And yes, and you are officially a South Dakota resident at that point.
So calebjones.com/events. And what is the deadline on this one? Or do you know?
You know what? I do. Let me look. Okay. I don't know if the top
a little more time on this. I think this is after the summer, right?
This is September 22nd.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so that's not the deadline.
So that was the first week of September.
Okay. Shit, we just lost Billie. Maybe she'll come back. That's on her end. Let me double check my WhatsApp, make sure. Yeah, well, Billie will probably come back. calebjones.com/events. If you're an American, unless you're already domiciled in a state that doesn't have income tax, great. If you're not, there's no reason not to do this. If you're not American, then you skip it, or you can set up an LLC. That's different. All right, let me answer a few of these questions that we didn't get to. Hang on a moment. I assume Billie will be coming back in a minute. Let's see. If I want to set up an LLC and take advantage of Paraguay residency tax advantage, do I need to get my residency first, then set up the LLC? Oh, here she is. You're back. Are you okay? Good.
Yes, I hit the wrong button.
That was you. Do I need to get residency first, then set up the LLC, or can I do it before I get my residency in Paraguay? The EIN number takes 4 weeks and I am in a rush. If you just want to get the tax advantages of living in Paraguay, you don't get an LLC in Paraguay. You leave your LLC in your other country, because territorial tax means they don't tax anything coming from outside the country. If you set up an LLC in Paraguay, they will charge you Paraguayan tax, which is very low. It's like 20%. So if that's your objective, you wouldn't set up an LLC in Paraguay at all. Just get your residency and then move there, or spend most of the year there, and that's it. That's all you got to worry about. So you don't need to do that. Did you have anything you want to say before you got cut off? No? Okay. Let's see. An Australian earlier was bragging about how his government handled COVID and how few deaths they had. It's quite scary. Well, the strongest societal programming, I've written about this in my books, is cultural, societal programming. My country where I was born is the best because I was born here. It's human. It's part of the human condition. Attack someone's culture and watch what happens. Watch them explode. Even if you're saying something that is factually accurate. I have a lot of experience with this because I've attacked many cultures, including my own, and people get really pissed off. So yeah, that's just the way it is. The CAD thing is because I'm an electrician, which you can't do remotely as far as I know. You can work with electricians. You can train other electricians. This is what I would do. Have you worked with tradesmen?
Yeah, there are plenty. You don't have to do the exact same thing. Guys, you can spin it. I know how to do this system. Or I know how to set up my purchasing. Like I have a great conduit to purchasing my materials. Whatever it is, if there's something that you know how to do and streamline for someone else, that's the ticket. It's not you doing the services yourself.
Correct. So he's asking, have you worked with tradesmen to get remote income? Yes, but these are the tradesmen who work with other tradesmen. They're not people who use their hands and do things. That's fucking stupid. That's location dependent, and that's easily replaceable. Instead, you're a tradesman who works with other tradesmen and helps them do what you accomplish in your tradesman business, whatever that is.
Right.
By the way, that's exactly what I was computer consulting. I was a computer consultant. It drove me crazy. So I started training other computer consultants on how to get clients and some other stuff that I was good at. And I made way more money and worked less hours.
That's the key, guys. Think about this. When a person starts a new business, do they have all the answers? No. Same as you. When you're contemplating starting a new business, you do not have the answers. There are some things that you are going to be able to do naturally, easily, that other people will struggle and never figure out. And that is the skill that you have. That is what you sell. The improvements that you can make to their business because they don't know how to do it.
Right. There's something you know how to do in your business. If you're a tradesman or one of these types of blue collar type guys, there's something you know how to do in your career or business that is a little better than the average of other people. It could be getting clients. It could be being more efficient. It could be providing services lower cost or something. Figure it out and teach other people how to do that. That's it. You can make a 7-figure income doing that. Not a 6 one, a 7. Location dependent. Do you think starting an LI income stream is more of a priority than planting flags? You mentioned that 5 flags is harder every year. Well, sequentially, you'll need location dependent income or else you can't leave. How are you going to pay your bills? You have no. So you need both, and 5 flags getting harder every year. So here's what I would do if I woke up from zero, starting from zero today. I'd work on both right now. Now, I wouldn't plant 16 flags like Caleb has. I'd pick one country and go plant a flag there and get residency there, like Paraguay or Dubai or whatever, and get that nailed down. Now I'm covered, and then I work on my location independent business. I would do both at the same time, but I wouldn't spend my time being like Caleb. Caleb already had location independent income when he got residency in 6 different countries. So I was already there. If you're not there, you don't plant 16 flags. One more flag outside your collapsing country while working on your location independent business. Both.
Now, unless you're independently wealthy, unless if you can afford it and you can take, a couple, a month off or something a year, great. And do more than one, great. That's fine. Do both things at once. We don't care, but be judicious. That's the most important thing is we want to make these goals happen. So don't throw all of your eggs into one basket and don't be hasty.
You've talked about Hong Kong as a great place to set up an offshore country, but do you think it would be a good place to live in, be settled in most of the year? Hong Kong is only for a certain type of person. I would love it. A lot of people would hate it. So that's one of those things where the answer to the question is you need to go to Hong Kong and spend 2 weeks there. Don't stay in a hotel. Stay in an Airbnb and go to the grocery store like you live there and just pretend you live there and see if you like it. If you love it, great. There's pros and cons to Hong Kong. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still one of my favorite cities in the world. So it's a very particular, it's not like Portugal where it's pretty mild and, everyone will probably like it a little bit. Hong Kong, you'll either love it or hate it. Very similar to Dubai, but even more divisive than Dubai because it's very Chinese and Asian. There's some British culture too, but so that's the answer for Hong Kong.
That's terrible to me. I would hate it.
You'd hate Hong Kong. Oh, you'd hate it. I love it. You'd hate it. No, you'd hate it worse than you'd hate Dubai. You'd hate it. No, you'd fucking hate Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Around 7 months ago, you did a success story podcast with Romessa out of Pakistan. Any plans to do any more? Well, I've done them sporadically. Yeah, I just did one last week with who? My son Josh, who makes a
Oh, you
six-figure
did?
location and income at age 31. So there you go. I just did one last week. And then 2 weeks before that, I had Henry. Henry's making, 6 figures a month, and he's not even 30 yet. And he started my material. So I've given you, there's 3 or 4 right there.
He only started 2 or 3 years ago. I remember that very distinctly. It was recent.
Yeah, right. So I've given you lots of them. Go back on the other prior podcasts. And yes, I will keep bringing people on. I ask all kinds of people. A lot of people have to say no because of my other topics where they find controversial. They don't want people there to know that they're associated. So a lot of people say no, which is fine. So I ask people all the time. Sure. Yeah.
But on the other side, Boss Cooperative is going to be starting our podcast in the next few weeks. And we'll have some of that content as well.
A lot more than me. Yeah, because Billy knows a lot more people than I do.
I also have a bigger coaching staff. So,
and that too.
Well, fairness, we have a bigger community.
A lot more bigger network than I do. Yeah. Yeah. When you get that going, let me know. We'll do an announcement here. Yeah.
We'll be talking about Caleb all the time.
What's that?
Say again, sorry. Talking about you all the time.
Of course you go. Of course, well, everyone talks about me. It's all right. I'm used to it. I'm a character. Is it a bad plan to get married? Being still, ask me on my other channel. This is not the question about place for those questions.
You know what? But that was a financial question, and let me say that.
All right. Wait, let me read the question first. Hang on, because some people are listening to this. Is it a bad plan to get married? Being still on $1,400K monthly salary at 30 years old? Jesus, what do you think my answer is? But I'll let Billy answer it. Go ahead.
So first of all, it depends on where you live. That is a very fine salary in some places, and it's pretty modest in others. But what I'd say is, first of all, are you getting married to have a fancy wedding? Is that kind of what your partner wants? Is it going to put you in debt? How much are you spending on this wedding? How big a priority is that party to you, right? Because that's all it is. So are you getting married because you want that, or your partner expects that? Or are you getting married because that you want to pool resources in a way that benefits both of you? So if this person is someone that you have to pay for, hell no. If there's somebody that is a contributor, then that's up to you, man.
Any man under the age of 35 should not even be thinking about moving in with a woman in any context whatsoever, period.
It's ridiculous, and you don't have to listen to that.
Yeah, but listen to Billy. She's right.
I think between us somewhere is your truth, and that's what you should listen to. Fuck both of us. We're sharing our thoughts. Doesn't have to be right for you. But make sure
I'm giving you the word of God.
Oh, you're so obnoxious.
I'm in the process of, great to see you, Billy. I'm in the process of getting my own apartment and moving out of my dad's basement. Thanks to you and Caleb. That's fucking cool. Really?
Good. Freaking love you, nephew Arthur. It's great to hear from you.
You're actually doing it. I love people who actually get off their asses and do it. Because too many of you aren't doing it. You're making a bunch of excuses.
That's it. Arthur knows the secret. The secret is you learn something, and then you fucking do something about it.
You fucking do it, and you make mistakes. That's okay. Right.
And Arthur's done a lot of big things in the last year. A lot of big things, including moving across the country. Into a different country. That's right, for a period. So
cool.
We're really proud of you, Arthur.
Cool. Love it. I do sales for a company now, thinking you'd consider it a bullshit corporate job. Yes, less bad if it's 100% commission, but I don't consider it a bullshit corporate job. It is a bullshit corporate job, yes. What is required for a sales rep to be considered Alpha 2.0? Work multiple offers? What else? Quit your job and start your own sales business. If you're in sales, this is for any of you now. Any of you are in sales. I know a hunk of you are, especially some of you young guys. I've spoken to some of you guys. Any of you in sales, you have the easiest transition from being a wage slave, a job, to having your own business. Mm-hmm. Sell something else. Go sell whatever. That's the hardest skill to learn, or the scariest one to learn for most normal humans.
It is.
If you already have that skill, you can start any fucking business you want. And you'll be fine. So, dude, that's the answer. Start your own business and quit your job.
Caleb's not kidding about that one. Usually I roll my eyes when he says, corporate jobs are all terrible. In some circumstances, I think if it's right for you, do it. we are not black and white this way in my house.
Yes, we are.
But if you are doing commission sales, what
Shit.
risk is there?
Why do
What
you have a job? Honestly, if you're doing commission sales now for a company, fuck, dude.
Do you have any idea how many people in our sphere, myself included, very much included, hate doing sales?
You can
Hate
work for
it,
Billy or me.
fairly
You
uncomfortable,
can work for all
fucking hate
kinds
it.
of dude as clients. I mean, shit, dude. Yes, yeah. So you have the easiest, and that's not just you. If you're currently in sales, you could be in your own business making money within 2 months. Right now, at the most, you get 1 or 2 clients and you're there. I mean, shit. If you have an internal lifestyle, you mean international lifestyle? How do you handle your physical mail? Oh, I imagine at least some official mail always goes to your houses. Billy, would you like to answer that question? Because you solved that
Yeah.
problem for me.
I solved that for Caleb. I solved it for myself. So for Caleb, we use a program called Earth Class Mail. There are many other systems like this. I use the one in South Dakota that we provide you with if you choose a residency service with us. But essentially, they handle your mail for you. They receive it. You can dictate what happens with that mail. So in my system and in Caleb's, I believe, they open it and scan it for us.
Right.
So
And they
we
trade the
literally just
email.
log into a website, we get a scan, we can see our mail. If it's something we want forwarded, we just ask them to forward it, and they physically send it to wherever you want them to. And
Yep,
it's
awesome.
all done electronically. You choose the method of shipping, based on what's available, the whole 9 yards. It's all spelled out for you. With
so
my
great.
mail, I also have a forwarding service. So every 2 weeks, my mail just automatically gets sent to me. So I don't
And
have to
like in a
reload
bulk, like in a big
scans.
bulk envelope, they
Yeah,
forward it to you. Yeah,
yep,
okay. I
exactly.
don't do
Or
that. Yeah, great.
dictate which things they forward to me as well.
Yeah,
So
so
lots of flexibility, and they'll also accept packages at both of these companies.
that's one model. What I do is I want to be paperless. So they open all my mail, they scan it. One of my team members, I don't do this, I delegate everything.
Yeah.
He goes in and checks it. If there's like a credit card or a debit card, then we just forward that to any address you want, including international ones. I forward it to Pink Firefly because we have a real address in the United States, but I don't want mail to go there, just physical stuff. It works great. It's awesome. I never have to worry about it. I can get mail no matter where I am. So I'm receiving mail in the United States right now in my U.S. Mailing address, and I'm here in London, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome. And
that is
on that.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's definitely a big part of the service that we offer in this South Dakota residency, is having that address and the mail forwarding for the first year included.
Cool.
And these programs are pretty modest, guys. It's a couple $100 a year. It's modest and definitely worth it. It's also a tax deductible business expense.
I'm making good money at an employer at a job I'd like, but I want to create my own A2 business so I can live overseas. How difficult is it to get to 50% of your wage working your business? It is not difficult. It just takes time.
And
It's going to take you a few months. It's going to take. Sorry, go ahead.
It depends on what you're doing. So if you surround yourself with a community that helps you offer something that is needed rather than the thing that you think you want to offer, you're going to set yourself up for more success.
Oh, there's more to his question. How do I get 50%? How difficult is it to get 50%? Am I still here?
Yes.
Hang on, I'll wait.
We can hear you, Caleb.
Am I back?
Yes.
Thank you. He has more to his question. How difficult is it to get 50% of your wage working your business part-time? I'm a CPA that specializes in tax accounting and forensic accounting. So what you're doing for a living right now is not relevant. Part-time is, of course, relevant, but that's what I suggested earlier. It's not difficult. It just takes time. It's not going to happen in a month. It might take you 6 months. It might take you a year. It shouldn't take you a year if you do everything we talk about. If you focus on coaching, consulting, or a service, if you are narrowly niche, and if you're a CPA focusing on tax accounting, forensic accounting, that's not niche enough. If you only sell something that is very high margin, if you do all the stuff we talk about, it's not hard. Especially if, oh, that's a percentage of never mind. The only way it would be hard is if you make a 7-figure job income. You probably don't make $1 million a year at your job, because that'd be a little more difficult, but you probably don't. So, no, so we do it all. So be patient, and you got to put in the work. You got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, can you speak to the value of being easy to deal with in a technical field? Oh, I can speak a lot of that. How did you compete with more competent, tech-savvy individuals? So it sounds like you already have an idea of what I've talked about. The reason I was able to make more money than computer consultants back in that day, in that part of my life a long time ago, is because I was nice to work with.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually, most of my direct competitors were smarter than me in terms of the raw technical ability. Most of them were better consultants in that they knew more about the software and the inner workings of the computers. And I knew that stuff too. I was good, but I wasn't great. But I was really nice, and I was pleasurable to talk to. And I smiled when I talked to people, and I asked questions, and I gave a shit about people, and I made jokes, and I was pleasant. These tech nerds were like, God damn it, a fucking client. Oh, yes. And they were just condescending, or they were like weird because they were nerdy, or they would dress like shit. And because they didn't understand any of that stuff, I would go out of my way to wear a, back then, you don't do this now, but back then in the 90s, wear a tie. I did all that shit. So that's where the money is. It's not, that's why all you guys say, I want to learn to code, or I'm going to be a CAD developer. That's not where the big money is. The big money is to be a relationships person. I know it's hard, but I'm an INTJ, and I'm not that easy. I'm not that like that automatically. It's in the things you can't outsource, the things that you cannot be, people can't compete with you on that. No one in that marketplace in Portland, Oregon, in the 1990s, I was making 6 figures as a kid with no college degree and no high school diploma in 1990s dollars. No one could compete on me on being nice and friendly and personable and getting my shit done on time. They could compete with me on being smart. Yeah. So it's all about that when you're technical. Matter of fact, when you're technical, it's even more important.
And that you are able to be novel, because in technical fields, it's often very rote. It's the same as in engineering. Things are prescribed, things happen. When you can bring some novelty in and some lateral thinking, it's a huge benefit. The other thing that Caleb naturally has is a leadership charisma, right? A lot of people in tech fields don't have that. So if you can go to Toast, I know, your head is going to explode. But if you can, if that's something that you can cultivate in yourself, I am not a person who is naturally well-spoken. I don't do well speaking to strangers, going up to strangers, what have you. But there are a lot of programs such as Toastmasters that can help you cultivate those skills that let you rise as a leader. And oftentimes that's a vacuum that's missing in tech.
And read the books, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and Confidence and Power in Dealing with People by Les Giblin. If you're a tech nerd, that's required reading for you. And you don't just read the book and listen to the audiobook and say, wow, what a great book. You take notes and you implement what they tell you. I had to do that in the 90s. I had to learn.
I know this is a smaller part of the audience, but if you are on the autism spectrum, such as myself, that is even more fundamental reading because you don't have an intuitive understanding. So invest that time. It will help you enormously and ease a lot of frustrations that you may otherwise have.
People skills will always make you more money than technical skills by far, which is why I spent my entire 20s learning people skills. When I was 20, I had no people skills. I was a turd. I was a little shit. And everybody hated me.
20-year-old guys are. They're terrible.
Exactly. I was a little shit. I was just a little fuck. And I was an asshole. And I didn't like myself. And I was mad all the time. And no one liked me. And I told this story. I'm not going to do the whole story. But the summary is that I said, you know what? This isn't going to make me a lot of money. Being a smart ass know-it-all who knows everything and everyone's stupid and I'm a genius because I was born with a slightly higher IQ than average is not going to help me in life. No. I need to learn people skills. So I spent 10 years. Toastmasters was one of them. Reading books was another one. Practicing on people was another one. And it was painful and I hated it, but it worked. Holy fuck. And some of you are like my son and you're naturally extroverted and you already have that built in. Great. But if you're not, and most of you don't have this, because I know what kind of audience we attract here, Learn that, especially if you're technical. Yes.
Exactly.
What did Henry do? Go watch the podcast from 2 weeks ago and watch the whole thing. He set up a business selling how to sell stock options. Watch the podcast. For 2 years, I worked on my online startup as a co-founder next to my corporate job. The struggle I have is that this kills my social/network life. Yes, that's one of the sacrifices you have to make temporarily. That is true. How to continue my job plus the side business and have a life. You know what? Here's my answer to that question. You're going to have to, I'm sorry, you're going to have to sacrifice for a few months. You don't work on your side business and your job for years. You work on it for anywhere from 2 months to maybe a year at the most. And yes, you're going to have less of a life. I did when I did this. When I did this in my 20s, I had a full-time job, part-time business. I didn't have much of a life for a while. Not forever. So you just suffer a little bit. And I didn't date very much. I didn't do any of that stuff for a while. And then it's temporary. That should use that as motivation to get your business shit done and make your money so you can quit, have a life again.
This is what allows you to have the lifestyle that you actually want. So remember that this investment that you're making now is what gets you over the hump, and it's worth being uncomfortable. But my question is, if you're 2 years into a startup and you're still working a full-time job.
I didn't say that. I didn't address that.
Like, I'm your business auntie and I love you.
What the fuck are you doing?
Problematic.
Out. Get out.
That's or bullshit. Change something, because that's not.
He probably can't change something. He's probably doing it with 4 other people, and he probably can't change something. So my advice is get the fuck out. Start your own business.
That is making a change, though. If you can't change something in the business or in the way that functions, you can change your involvement with it. And sometimes walking away fucking hurts. It sucks. Same as any relationship. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if it allows you the freedom and the space to get to where you want to be as an individual, it's worth it. Step into that discomfort.
Since you say get the fuck out of Europe, or soon, yes, I've been saying that for about 8 or 9 years. Once someone joins the 90-Day Business Builder, can they do that? That is the entire point of the 90-Day Business Builder. The entire point of the 90-Day Business Builder is to get you location independent so that you can leave if you want. That's the entire point. It's not like the point of 90-Day Business Builder is not to get a business. You could go start some location dependent. You could go work at a Subway. Sure. It's not the point. The point is to get free, to get location independent so you can be free. So you can quit your job and leave your country if you want. So yes, that's the entire point.
If you want. But that's another thing. We're not saying you have to do that.
I am. But yes. Well, the minimum.
I'm never going to be as authoritarian as Caleb Commandant is.
Well, wait. So what I say is, if you don't want to leave, I just said this earlier in this discussion before Billy came up. If you don't want to leave, at least set up an international backup plan so now you can leave whenever you want. Yes. If you want to stay in London, I told the guys this in London. I said, there's some of you in this room who probably want to stay here. And I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. Okay, great. So if you want to stay here, get location independent, set up your backup plan. Now you can stay here and relax. So when it gets really bad, you can just leave. Instead of being, God damn it, being all pissed off about how Americans are pissed off about Trump and Biden right now because they can't leave. So if you want to stay in your collapsing country, fine, but get location independent first, fast. Get your residency and your backup plan second. Get that done. So now you can stay there, but you're okay. It doesn't really bother you because you can leave whenever you want. Yeah.
And remember again that this should be a 6 to 12 month commitment at the most to get things rolling. If it's taking more than that, there are some problems happening. And that's when you do need to make a change, whatever that is, that's right for you.
Geez, not even at 12 months. I mean, if you're really working this and you're at like 6-7 months, you're making no progress, something's wrong.
Yeah,
if you're following our model.
Especially with our model. We're not having you start up a manufacturing facility. You're not going to buy a semi truck,
Right. We've had guys make money. Right. We've had people make money within weeks, not months, weeks. It's not that hard if you follow our model. So it's not that tough.
We have people make money before they've even decided what their niche is going to be.
Yeah, man. We've had people make money and get clients before they figure out what their fucking niche is, which is before they figure they're going to sell. We've had it several times. We always laugh when it happens. I love it.
It's happened again a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes, it did. That's right. What about mail that gets delivered to your address in Paraguay or Dubai while you're away for months? There are similar. So Paraguay, you're fucked. Second world country. You need a friend. You need a friend to check your mail. That's
Or the
all you do in
legal
Paraguay.
firm. There are a lot of the legal firms that you can pay an extra fee to do that for you. To be
Well, then you have to change. You change your mailing address to the legal firm. Then
correct.
does our legal firm do that?
They will.
Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. There's an answer. Cool. Dubai, there's similar services. Here's the thing. Not Paraguay so much. Dubai is a very paperless society. I don't get mail. I don't have a mailing address in Dubai. I don't get mail in Dubai. I get courier deliveries where they scan your residency card. I don't get mail. There's no mail in Dubai.
That's so cool.
There is, but it's awesome. So high tech. But Paraguay, yeah. Good idea for Billy. Yeah, you have
there are always workarounds, and I know locals and expats, and that's part of the reason we make those relationships.
Right. I studied for an MBA in Dubai. Oh God, please don't. But okay, and will graduate by August. Okay, that's not horrible. Before I worked in aviation for more than 5 years. I don't have income now. Ugh. Should I start working in Dubai and start my business? Well, I mean, are you moving? Are you in Dubai now? I don't quite understand your question. If you're asking, you're in Dubai now as a student, should I stay in Dubai? You're in Dubai. Do you like it? Other than the heat right now. That's why I'm not there right now.
And
I love Dubai minus the heat.
It is a high cost of living compared to many other places on the globe.
Right.
But if you have the means to start working on your business and start making money, absolutely you should do that. I do understand that the workload to finalize your MBA is pretty high. But if you have the bandwidth, I would do both. And if not, as soon as you're done with that MBA and you have that degree in your hand, get started.
Yep. Yeah. So if you could afford it and you could live somewhat cheaply in Dubai, I've talked about this. If you like Dubai, stay there. Those taxes are great. Yeah. And the lifestyle's the best of the world. If you don't like it, if you're like just there because you got to be in school there, then yeah, go somewhere cheap. Sure. Go to Armenia or something. Yeah. Do you like / agree with 100 million offers Hormozi? Yeah, my standard answer with Alex Hormozi is I love Alex Hormozi, but what he teaches does not apply to the vast majority of human beings on the internet. What he teaches applies to people like me, people who are willing to work 18 hours a day to make millions of dollars a year. Most people are not in that category. If you're in that category, you should listen to everything he says and do everything he says. I listen to a lot of what he says, but I'm in exactly his target audience. If you're a normal human, some of what applies, some of what he talks about applies, some of it doesn't. It really depends. But I mean, that book is great. Yeah, that will help you. Sure. Yeah. Yep. You bet. When you have the same salary with your business, will you be taxed less and make more? Oh, you asked this in terms of when you quit and become a subcontractor. Is there a way to deal with the 50? Okay. So the answer is yes, you'll be taxed less. Is there a way to deal with the 50% self-employment tax? Yes. Become an LLC with an S election in the United States. That's how you deal with that. Now there's some costs involved there too. But that's the answer. You will not pay, if you're an LLC with an S, you will not pay the 50% corporate, or self-employment
tax. And the self-employment tax, for those of you who aren't aware of how it works in the US, covers your, what is that?
Social Security.
Yep, Social Security and Medicare.
Right. It's which you'll never get because America will collapse before you get it.
We're too young.
Social Security in the United States. And by the way, same here in London. You guys live in the UK. Same in Canada. Same in France, what I'm describing. Social Security is supposed to be a check you send to the government where they keep it for you, and then you get old, and then they give it back to you, and they take care of your retirement. That's what it was originally designed to do in the 1940s. Now what happens, Social Security, you write the check, it goes to old people now. And they spend it immediately. It doesn't stay anywhere. Now it's gone. So when you retire, you're fucked. They have no money. Get out of the United States. I'm a broke real estate agent that relies on commissions. Well, why are you broke? Sell more houses. Since it's not regular income, what's your advice for starting my online business on the side? Hang on. With no capital. You don't need business. You don't need any money to start a business. Go ahead, Billy.
There are so many things that you can do for other agents and brokers. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Easy.
My favorite example is the laws in the state of Minnesota changed a couple of years ago in terms of how properties are measured for the MLS. It's very specific. Misreporting the square footage of a home is the number one case for lawsuits against real estate agents. And that can come from just not understanding what the hell they're doing. So, a friend and I started a business basically around measuring properties for real estate agents because they don't know how to do it. They're not going to take the time to learn because it is fairly complex and there's quite a bit of math involved. And there are, which floor do the stairs count on for square footage? There's a lot of intricacies. So we provide a service that does it for them. That
There you
easy.
go.
Or
That's
we have,
another.
you can help them get listings with like Open Door or Zillow, some of those businesses. There are just so many things that you can do to serve real estate agents because they're often very scattered. They're often, think of the real estate agents and how on the phone they are and how few of them are using any kind of automations to return those messaging. So they just piss away half their day at least being on the phone.
Real estate agents are terrible business people. They're awful.
They're the worst.
Including the ones that make money. They're awful. They're just, I got to show houses to get listings, and that's all they're not business-oriented people. They tend to be extroverted, salesy people, and that's it.
Yeah,
so Billy's right. You have a real easy path.
Optimization and operationalizing things is usually quite poor, and there are a lot of efficiencies that will save them so much money and time on their listings. So look at the ways you can serve those people. You don't have to increase your sales if that's not the right fit for you, but there are a hell of a lot of things you can do to help others.
You could listen or watch the podcast I did last week with my son Josh. His first online business was helping real estate agents get business through Facebook ads, and he did really well at that. And he started real estate. He got his license. He didn't like it. He didn't make any money. He pivoted to service, exactly what Billy just said, to servicing real estate agents, and that's where he took off. So there you go. So watch or listen to that podcast last week. What if someone has quit their job and it's the process of interviewing elsewhere? If doing the 9-day business builder, would you recommend just looking for anything to keep it at things at bay living costs? If I were you, yes, I would just get any bullshit job just to pay my monthly expenses, and I would pour my whole heart into my business. And that's exactly what I did. So my last job, that's the model I used at my last job, 2 jobs actually, because it was 2 years, one job each year. I would clock in at 8 a.m. and at 5:00.00 I was out of there, and it was out of my head, and I was 100% focused on my business. And when I took lunch breaks at my job, I was thinking about my business, where my business. So I was just a robot. And the model that I've used is when you're doing this, you do just enough work at your job to not get yelled at. And that's it. Not get fired, because you can fuck that up and get fired. Some guys do that. That's not right. Do just the minimum amount of work, not to have someone yell at you. So no one's paying attention to you. You're not doing bad, but you're not doing good. Because I'll get guys occasionally who are like they're starting their business on the side, but they're trying to get that promotion. They're trying to, no, minimal energy. So yes, you can do it.
Yep. Put in what the job takes and no more, because that's what you're getting paid for, friend.
Right. Yes, I'm in Dubai. Yes, I like it. Same guy. I want to start a business related to data analytics and AI. What do you think about this idea? That sounds great, as long as you're very, very, very niched. AI is no longer a niche. So you'd be very narrowly niched in the AI sector, and then that would be fine. How feasible is this to do in Dubai? Are you fucking kidding? You should know the answer to that question. Dubai, easy. Are you kidding? AI, crypto, that's crazy in Dubai. Dude, you're fine. Billy, are you moving to Paraguay full time? And then he has a question for me. No.
I love northern Wisconsin. This is a beautiful, beautiful place, with the exception of winter, which is okay for like a few days. So my plan is to be a snowbird, not to actually leave this area, because I do like it so much, and there's such wonderful recreation. But now it's your turn, Caleb. Your new arrangement with Pink Firefly. We should probably talk about that on the other channel. But yeah, Paraguay is never going to be a place that I can see Pink Firefly enjoying. And she's never been there, has she? Well, no, Billy. She hasn't been there. I understand, Caleb. She's more of an indoor girl. I was just speaking for you.
Am I back yet? My internet's not working again.
You're back, Caleb.
Am I here? Hello?
Hello! You're here.
If you can hear me, great. I can't hear you. So hang on. I got to wait a sec. There we go. Am I back?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I did not hear what you said, but it sounded good.
I suggest that we save the pink firefly conversation for the other channel. But I don't see she's not been there yet, right? I just don't see it
No.
being a place that she'd enjoy. She is an
No, are you
Indian
kidding?
girl.
No. Barbie,
Um,
no. Barbies don't do well in Paraguay. That's not a Barbie place.
yeah, that's an
I'm not
outdoor
moving to
girl
Paraguay full
place.
time though. I'm not moving to Paraguay full time. I live in Dubai most of the year. Paraguay, I'm expanding my time instead of one-ish month a year, which is what I've been doing, 6 weeks a year. I'm expanding it to 4 to 5 months a year, but still most of the year I'm not going to be there. So yes, I will discuss what I'm doing with Pink Firefly in several months. If you were in London, you know what I'm doing, but I can't talk about that publicly yet. So in a
You
few
haven't
months,
even
I'll explain
told
what I'm
me
doing.
that. What the hell?
Well, it's something I'm working on. I'm not done with it yet. I'll
You
I'll
told
tell
me
you. I'll tell
twice
you.
before your
I'll
auntie?
tell you.
Okay.
It's not
I'll just
radically different. Well, I mean, it's Paraguay. I'll tell you. I'll explain to you offline. I'll tell you when we're in
I'm also
Paraguay. I'll
gonna
explain
be
the whole thing.
hanging out with you pretty soon. So we'll have
Yeah,
plenty
well,
of
yeah,
time.
dude, you'll know everything in a few weeks. Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry. Okay, a few more questions and we got to go. At least I have to go. Let's see here. What do you guys think about residential cleaning businesses? Not location independent. I've been looking at
Well
some
done.
models where they can be run remotely, okay, and seem to have good cash flow once you get customers. If you can run it remotely, wonderful.
So
And your
that's
niche,
actually another thing that we did in that company that served real estate agents is that we would bring cleaners in. And instead of coming, because most cleaning companies do a estimate and then a clean, so it doubles down in the time. There are a lot of ways to bring efficiencies to cleaning companies. I wouldn't
cool.
necessarily start a cleaning company, but I would provide efficiencies to others. Because
Agreed.
again, most people who start a cleaning company are good at cleaning, not good at
Yeah.
running a business.
Right. So I agree with what Billy just said. I wouldn't start a cleaning business. I would start a business that services cleaning companies because you're a
High
cleaning business, then
turnover.
you're a commodity. There's
And
thousands of
there's
them.
high
So,
turnover in those cleaning kind of jobs because those are very much entry level
oh,
roles.
yeah. Right. If I speak more than one language, can that be leveraged in the 90-day business builder? Yes. We've had people do that, right, Billy? We've had at least a few that I remember who
We've
did
had
some of that stuff.
several.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
We've had
Yeah.
travel writers. We've had
Yeah. No, yeah.
people helping get wine from the country of Georgia, which is in Europe, over to China. We've had people helping foreign students who want to place well in these German university entrance exams. We've had tons of language skills being used, but it's often applied in a slightly different way than you think. So it's not,
Cool.
I'm teaching English lessons because you don't get much, it doesn't pay, especially with the advent of these different tools. So it just depends on what you're doing. Oh, Caleb's frozen again. Oh, there you go, Caleb.
Am I back yet?
Yeah.
Am I back yet? Am I back? Okay.
Yes, you are back.
2 more questions, guys. We got to go. Cool. All right. I want to start a business monetizing my hobbies. What's some examples of doing that? Well, I know a guy who back in 2007, 8, 9 was dating a lot of girls. He was a business consultant who was recently divorced, and his hobby was dating lots of girls. It was his hobby. And he said, how can I make money dating lots of girls? I know, I'll talk about my experiences dating lots of girls and write some ebooks and do some coaching business on how other guys can do this. And he ended up making a multi-million-dollar business empire from that, spawned from Black Dragon. So that was me. So there you go. There's one. There's thousands of examples you could come up with. And I know a guy who paints those Warhammer figures and does a business on that, teaching people how to do that online. Great. It's easy.
It depends on what it is. This is where you have to be careful.
As long as you're niche.
And it can't necessarily be following your passion. It's going to likely be related to, but not directly your hobby or your particular interest. And you have to be open to that.
Right. What do you think of Tim Ferriss? I like Tim Ferriss a lot. He doesn't have the same personality that I do. It's funny because he looks just like one of my brothers. I think it's funny.
Really?
But his book 4 Hour Work Week is foundational, and I think he's great. I've known him. I think he's great. What's a simple way to verify if my chosen niche is a real niche with real problems, aside from making calls because of language barriers?
Reddit,
You're gonna have to make calls or at least talk to some people, DM people. You're gonna have to. And language
LinkedIn,
barriers is an excuse. You're speaking English right now.
LinkedIn, Reddit. There are a lot of different resources. Look for where people complain. Look where business
Yeah.
owners and people in their jobs complain. That's where you find the actual opportunity and actual problems. Don't assume anything.
For Paraguay, I'm in the USA, plus I have a misdemeanor DUI from 5 years ago. What exactly do I ask the court here to show that I completed everything? You just need to show that you need the stamped certified. It's a single page thing because I had a thing. A stamped certified thing say you whatever sentence or whatever punishment you did was completed / satisfied. Every terminal, every jurisdiction has a different name for that. That's it. That's all you need. It doesn't. That's it. That's all they give a shit about, and you have to get that apostille.
And we've taken multiple people down who've had different things on their criminal record, including a DUI.
Yeah, they don't care.
With no
All
issues.
that piece of paper, they don't care.
Yeah, just let them know that
they've
you
had people
the judgment and that you're not, on the lam. That's all they care about, really.
Yeah, they've had people. My understanding is they've had people commit murder, and he served his time and he's fine. None of our customers, but I've talked to some people. They don't care as long as you can show that thing saying you did your time or you paid your fine, where the fuck it was. That's all you need. That's it.
And you just get that from your circuit court, and then get it apostilled or authenticated by that circuit court as well.
Right. We can help you with the apostille parts. You got to get it from the circuit court. Right. All right. We have to go. Please send me the replay. It's on YouTube and podcast, calebjones.com/podcast, or on YouTube, Unchained CEO. It's there. I didn't just send the replay. It's just there. Cool. All right.
Don't forget, events with both Caleb and I are at calebjones.com/events. You can also check out bosscooperative.com, where you can find coaching with myself and my other staff, our monthly membership coaching programs, and a bunch more really cool events. And next time we talk about this, guys, I didn't think about it in time today. Oh, Founders Sanctum. Yeah, that's one of our monthly membership programs, which is freaking awesome.
Billy has Founders Sanctum now. It's active.
Yeah. And it's not just Billy, it's Billy and the coaching team. So you get a lot of really well-educated, smart, and kind voices. So check us out.
You were going to say something really quick. Go ahead quickly.
I don't remember what it was, but hey, this was really fun. And Caleb and I are a month away. Literally, I'm 1 month away from landing in Uruguay and hanging out with my bro. So we should have a great time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Billy.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.